Hello, you're welcome to another exciting, spine-tingling edition of The Agenda. This is where we look at pressing issues in the country and, of course, if need be, outside the country. My name is Philip Hazard. Now, disturbed by the rising demand for the United States dollar and other foreign currencies for domestic transactions, the Nigerian House of Representatives has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to put an end to this development. Although the Naira has relatively been stable in the last 18 months, if you ask me, due to the restrictive monetary policy adopted by the Central Bank of Nigeria, some lawmakers have argued that a situation where almost every arm of government, policy makers and others in the society spend foreign currencies would continue to suffocate the local currency and make it weak. The question now arises, is the dollarization of the Nigerian monetary system really a challenge? If it is, what is the solution? And of course, I digged in to find out because some of us might be coming across this word, dollarization, for the first time. It actually means the process of a country adopting the US dollar as its primary currency or aligning it to the US dollar. This has been the case if you go around and you shop in big malls and other parastatals and all of that. They consciously and unconsciously adopting the dollar. What is the way forward? And on this note, we would like to once again open the show today, The Agenda. And the topic once again is the dollarization of the Nigerian economy and of course foreign exchange policies. Now with me on the set, of course, I'm not alone. I have a distinguished guest today who will be giving us some facts on this issue. His name is Mr. Adeniyi Odunsi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
To have you. My hands are very far. Shouldn't give you a handshake.
Right, yes.
He's a legal practitioner, but he has a huge bank of knowledge in terms of economic and fiscal issues. And therefore, we're going to be digging in to find out what is the way forward on this issue. Now, there is a growing trend in the use of some foreign currencies, especially the US dollar for local transactions, including the payment of school fees, hotel bills, real estate rents, and different forms of purchase in Nigeria. That is the issue right now. What do you think is responsible for this trend?
Well, thank you for having me to start with.
Oh, my pleasure, sir.
Well, you see, it's very simple, really. The rate of inflation in Nigeria is higher. It's higher than what the CBN says. If you go to the market, you find out the prices keep, galloping.
So the real case scenario.
So the real case scenario, there's inflation in this country, and it's been going up for some time.
Okay.
Now, you have the inflation, and the second thing you have to think about is that the exchange rate of the Naira has not really been as stable as people would want to say.
Okay.
Now, some would tell you for the past 18 months, it's been hovering between 150,
6,
going up 160, 165 sometimes, it's been going like that.
Yeah,
now, this is a huge problem for anybody who is involved with foreign exchange. Again, people who are saving, when they find out that there is high inflation, they want to hedge. They want to be sure that they don't save in Naira, because you can wake up one day and you saved $1 million Naira and find out it has become 700,000 Naira. So what do? You decide to save in a currency that is stronger.
And more stable.
More stable.
Okay.
And that's where the dollar comes in. Or even the pound or the euro. So you prefer to have your savings in that instead of in the Naira. While some would argue that the Naira has been stable over a long period. But I can tell you that, like June last year, for example, it went from about 157 to 165. Now, to anybody who trades or who deals with huge volumes, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to lose. So you would rather have it in the dollar than to say in the Naira. So that's what's going on. Now, you have hotels, for example, saying pay us in dollars. It makes sense if you're talking about foreigners. Now, these hotels we're talking about, really you have only or mostly foreigners going there. So it's easier for me as an American to come to Nigeria and have to check in into Sheraton, and I pay dollars. I don't need to change my dollar into Naira. It's easier for me. Now, you talk about schools, school fees. These schools, some of them have to pay expatriates. If you have schools charging $50,000, most of them, you find expatriate teachers. At the end of a month, an expatriate teacher would prefer to come here to Nigeria and be paid in dollars than in Naira, because if he's paid in Naira, he has to still change it to dollars whenever he wants to repatriate the funds. So if you're paying him in dollars, he's more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's all about stability.
Stability.
You see, even when these schools are being built, think about the building materials that are imported into the country. All these things, they do it in dollars.
Okay.
It just makes sense that when they charge in dollars, it's easier to return money from wherever it came. That's why a lot of people are more into dollars now.
But the lawmakers, they've actually moved to stop the dollarization of the economy. Now, do you think that due to globalization, it's going to be very difficult to control the use of foreign currencies for some form of transactions in Nigeria?
Let me put it this way. I don't think the economy is being dollarized.
Okay.
You see, when you talk about dollarization, it's a situation where the country actually decides to make use of a foreign currency as a legal tender within its own shores.
So some things will prompt the decision.
So? The things that prompt, like high inflation, for example, and very weak economies. Now you need foreign inflow of funds. And of course, it makes sense. If you're saying, now we're going to be spending dollars in Nigeria, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
American companies will find it easier to come in.
Okay.
So that's what happens when countries decide to say, look, we are going to adopt this policy, dollarization, and you find countries have done it in the past.
Yeah, we have some countries like Australia, Belize,
Canada,
Belize,
yeah. You have, even in Africa, you have Zambia did it in 1994.
When they were going way up in their currency.
Zimbabwe did it just in 2005.
Yes.
So you see, this is something that happens. Now, Nigeria has never said we're going to use dollars instead of the Naira. It's never happened. So I don't know where they're getting this idea from. What has just happened is we've opened our shores. Now, people can come in. We believe we need help to develop the economy. The government can't do it alone. Nigerians can't do it alone. So you want foreigners to come in. And what has happened is we've had many foreigners coming in now. Go to the airport, you travel, you find out that there are almost more foreigners in the plane than Nigerians. You see, so they've come in and they're coming in with a foreign exchange, and it's just happening. It's not as if the government at any time said from today we're going to exchange. No, this thing started during the structural adjustment program. Okay. This was when Nigerians were encouraged to have domiciliary accounts. So all this talk about let's ban it or stop it, I don't know where they're getting it from.
But some financial experts have welcomed the resolution of the House of Representatives, saying that it would bring about a reduction, in the demand for forex and at the CBN's regulated wholesale Dutch auction, which is the WDAS, as well as strengthen the Naira. Do you think that, do you share this view with, the financial experts?
I don't think so. Okay. The pressure is on the dollar because Nigeria is an import-driven economy.
Okay, yeah.
We import toothpicks.
As low as that.
So you see, that's why there is pressure. When you look at the whole population, let's be realistic. How many Nigerians deal in dollars?
Okay.
How many really?
Especially the ones that reside in the country.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not transactions like even real estate market is big, but how big is it in Nigeria now? It's not real estate, it's not hotel bills, it's not schools charging dollars, it's not supermarkets charging dollars. And in many of those places, in any case, like supermarkets, it's not as if you give them Naira, they will say we don't want it. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So all this talk about putting pressure on the dollar, if things are allowed to continue. No, that's not what's happening. What they should focus on is creating an economy which is industrialized. Okay. We need more industries. When we start to produce like we should be doing, and we're not importing as we are importing, there wouldn't be that much pressure on the dollar.
And even influx of the dollar.
Why is China today, why isn't China talking like this? Why isn't China saying things like dollarization? Because China is producing. Yeah. The economy is strong. Inflation is not that high. So there can't be anybody saying they are spending dollars in China. Why would you want to spend dollars in China?
And the fears of having your own currency, you know,
going down. Yes,
yeah,
it can't happen. They need to focus on creating the enabling environment to allow manufacturing to thrive. Let's start producing, and then we won't be wasting time talking about this thing. Now, this is a global village. No country is an island.
Yeah.
How can you be saying we're going to stop people spending dollars in Nigeria? It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, now that's Mr. Adeniyi's view. Before we take a report, a very substantial report, let's take a look at this last question before we take that report. You know, talking about foreign exchange regulations. Now, analysts have said that Nigeria is about the only country that seemingly have all the many foreign exchange vendors in and around the streets, every nook and cranny. You know them when you go out there. Don't you see this as a contributory factor to a challenge, you know, to usage of dollar in the land?
No, I don't.
When you see them flooded around the streets.
I disagree. I think it's an informal market, and I think if you were to eradicate the black market, there will be so much pressure on the dollar that the Naira will be devalued greatly.
Wow.
You see, there are a lot of people who patronize the black market because of the bottlenecks. If you have to go through banks for every transaction to get foreign exchange, you are going to become frustrated.
In fact, they have the representatives among these
vendors.
Yes.
Many people who even import, they would rather buy from the black market, from the informal market. They don't have the time. If you are going to bid, how long is it going to take you? The paperwork they ask for, things that other countries do, in any case, your tax clearance and all that, you have to make returns and all that. Many people are not that educated to even say they want to do that. They go to the informal market, they get their dollars
with ease.
So
I don't want to believe that it's because it's Nigeria, that's why we're peculiar. Other countries seem to thrive.
No, it's not. There are ways. You see, the point is this. You want to legalize something. You want to structure it. Yeah. But you don't have the kind of economy to support that. Okay. Countries that they talk about, you have people that you have as much as 95% of the populace educated. Okay. You have structures in place. You don't have like what we have in Nigeria. Now you have people on the streets, big-time businessmen who are not even educated. Yeah. And you're saying they must go to the bank and get these things done. How many of them pay tax? Do you get what I'm saying? Until we get the structures right, we can't put policies like this in place. It's only going to create more and more confusion.
So what you say is it's lucrative for now because the systems for the banks to thrive have not been put in place.
You're right.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we should take a look at this report and get to see more of these vendors that we talk about on the streets. And when we come back, the agenda continues. Stay with us.
I change all currencies. I change dollar, pounds, euro, Chinese currency, Dubai, all sorts of currency worldwide. My name is Mr. Bala. I do exchanging of foreign currencies. That is really change. That's my business. That is what I do for a long time, for a living. Yeah, for a long time. Don't worry about that, but for a long time.
This one now?
This one is dollar.
Dollar.
This is the pound sterling. I have France.
France, okay. All like that, may I see?
Okay. My name is Adeniyi.
Okay.
Don't change.
Okay. And how long you done this one?
I don't tell you that. Don't tell.
Like how many years?
Like 20 years.
20 years. Okay. What currencies do you change? What type of currency do they change for you?
Dollar, euro, pounds, CFA.
Where do you get all those currency from? Where do you get them? Do you buy them from where?
I buy them for people now.
For
people when they bring America, France, and US, anywhere, any product with the buyer.
Yeah. Okay. And what did they determine the exchange rates? When dollar go fall and when it go rise?
Dollar go fall and we are, some people come back. They won't go. Dollar will come down. Yeah.
So when the price increase, wetin dey cause am?
Why they go up now? Now people the rose to buy market to sell for Christmas. After Christmas, dollar will come down.
But now e dey high.
Now it dey high.
Like how much?
Now dollar is 160.
160 now. See if it come down, how much?
Well, you come down, it will be 152, 153, or 155 highest.
How do you hear about the change in rates? You know about it?
The price will come from the CBN, you know.
Okay, you get updates information from the
Yes,
CBN
yes.
to determine how
From the
much you
CBN,
exchange.
yes. From the CBN, everything.
Okay, so what's the difference?
That is the
between-
first thing in the morning before anything, you know. You know the price, you know everything before you started your transactions.
So what makes your price different from the banks and you know,
Yeah,
what makes your price different?
that is how it is. Our price is very good than the bank, because if you are doing in a bank or you are changing in a bank, they will buy it in a very, very low price in the bank. So we buy it higher. So that's why people comes to us.
All right, you're welcome back. You know, I was just thinking, Mr. Adeniyi, that way back in the days, we spent more of our years studying economics and all the policies and the rules and regulations that guide the market. But these guys are out there without, in fact, with the least form of education or qualification. And you can see the way they're talking so boldly, you know, about the way the dollar is going to go up and all of that. It's a thriving market.
It is. It has to be. It's a function of demand and supply.
Yes.
Now, one of them made a very good point about dollar falling during Christmas.
Falling after the Christmas.
After the Christmas,
yes.
Because what happens? No, it falls during the Christmas. Why? Let me explain this to you. This is what our legislators have not even, thought about.
Yes.
We have exported so many Nigerians, and they come home at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. Now I see what you mean.
And when they're coming home, they come with money.
Yes.
Most of the time, they come with cash. They don't want to pass it through the system.
Okay.
So they're the ones that go to these malams, these vendors, like now you want to sell your dollar, you sell it for 158.
Okay.
I want to buy it, I'll buy it for 160.
160.
How are you going to stop that? Do you get what I'm saying?
If they go to the bank, it's way lower than that.
You see, the problem you are going to have is you are going to drive the black market down. They are going to go into hiding.
Okay.
You can't stop it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes more difficult to get dollars. And demand and supply. When the demand is high, there is no supply.
It will definitely.
The dollar will go up. The Naira
will even come down the more.
You see, so some of these people are out of touch with reality. They don't really know what the market is. They're just, speaking grammar, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, now this has been the case, or was the case in Zambia, which put in place measures to reverse the widespread dollarization in its economy, triggering a sharp appreciation of the Zambian kwacha, the ZMK. Is it possible for Nigeria to follow the Zambian example? Because we saw it work over there in Zambia.
Now, let me quickly explain something. Okay. Zambia, 1991 to 1994, inflation was 180%.
Okay.
The economy was in shambles. The government took a decision to use dollarization as a policy to attract foreign investment. Now, from 1994 till now, a lot of changes have happened. The inflation rate now is in the single digits. The economy is a lot more stable. So the new government that came in now said, look, let's ban this dollarization now.
At that point, when the economy was stable?
When the economy, you can't compare Nigeria today to Zambia in 1994.
Okay.
So I'm surprised people are using Zambia as an example to say, well, it worked for Zambia. Look at the factors there. Are we where Zambia was in 1994? Clearly we're not. Is dollarization a policy, an official government policy in Nigeria? It's not. So why all this debate? It's just that we are having more foreigners coming. we are having inflow of offshore funds, and it just makes sense. Look, some Nigerian laws state that you can buy shares, company shares from Nigerian companies and pay any currency.
Wow.
So what are they talking about? The government wants foreigners to come in. It wants offshore funds to come in. You must make the atmosphere conducive, or else they will go to Ghana, they will go elsewhere. We have enough problems with corruption and insecurity. Now you want to add this. What are they trying to achieve?
Okay, so from what you're saying, I could even imagine that the use of dollar, the rampant use, let me use the word rampant use of dollar right now, has even encouraged the economy to
Of course, that's why people are able to come in, because look, guess what? Let me use myself as an example. I want to import something for $1 million. So it's today 165. Let's say it's 165. I know it's about 158 officially or so now. So I go and buy it for 158. Then I bring in the goods. I sell it. Now I have to pay back.
Of course.
Then I go to the same market and it's now 165. Do you realize how much money I've lost?
Wow.
But if I'm bringing it in dollars and I'm selling it in dollars, where is the risk?
No matter the difference, is to just be a very minimal one.
No, it's the same dollar. I don't have to buy it.
Okay.
I don't have to offer anybody bribe to be able to get it.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? I don't have to wait for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't have to have EFCC scrutinize my books because I want to buy dollars. Okay. You get what I'm saying? So that gives me confidence to come into your economy and trade. But the moment you start putting bottlenecks, I'll go somewhere else.
But when you say the moment you start putting, we're referring to the lawmakers here.
The lawmakers who are saying ban
the dollarization.
Dollarization, everything should be quoted in. If I quote for a contract today, and you say it's a Naira, I want to build the Third Mainland Bridge. I want to repair it, and I say, okay, it's going to cost me, if I would have said $20 million, now I have to say 320 million Naira. By the time I've quoted,
and all that.
It's taking me 6 months to get it signed.
Okay.
By the time you say, okay, go ahead, you give me my 50% mobilization or whatever.
To go ahead.
I now have to import some stuff. I now go to buy dollars, and now they tell me, oh, it's now 165. What's going to happen? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
what's going to happen?
I get your point. Okay, so let's take this one. The CBN governor, Malam Sanusi Lamido, has said that dollarization was part of the reasons why the Apex Bank, proposed a 5,000 Naira banknote last year. You know, the uproar that came up from everywhere, and it was suspended due to the public pressure. For a long time we didn't see this kind of thing happen, especially after the Occupy Nigeria, where the government had to listen, at least to an extent. This was also suspended due to public pressure. Does this tie the regulation of the dollarization of the economy to the 5,000 Naira note project?
No, they are not related at all. They are not. I'm surprised the CBN governor would put up such an argument. Okay. They are not. The 5,000, the argument against the 5,000 was that it was going to create inflation. By the time you start having 5,000, the only, let me say, point you could have is that it's easier. If I want to carry 200,000 Naira, how many dollars is that? Hardly noticeable. Yes. And this, again, even the legislators that are complaining, do they bribe in Naira anymore? Because by the time you carry Ghana must go back, everybody knows what's going. But you put it in dollars.
I think I know where you're going to, the $620,000 bribe.
So, this is what we're saying. The argument just does not gel. There are two different things. All they should focus on is making Nigeria an economy that produces, that manufactures. Get electricity right. Get the tariffs right. Let the local government, the state government, the federal government, let them work together. Cases of multiple taxes, eradicate them. let's understand, the more you produce, the stronger your currency becomes. Naira is weak because all we do is import. That's the thing. It has nothing to do. You can't cure a weak Naira by having 5,000.
Increase the
no,
denomination.
it's not going to work.
It's word. Okay. Let's have the CBN's report. We actually put them together in this report. So let's see his own side of, or his line of thought about this issue. Just stay with us.
Strategically, we think that it's inevitable that the world will recognize RMB as a reserve currency. I don't know how long it will take, but China is the second largest economy in the world. It's got a very huge amount of reserves. It's in a very strong financial position vis-a-vis vis-a-vis other large economies. And it's more or less in the same situation the United States was in after the Second World War, when other large economies were hit badly by fiscal deficit positions. So we do think it is a wise move at this point in time, and it's forward-looking.
Okay, a very short and brief one, but it was good that we saw just that side of what can you really translate from his line of thought as regards what we're talking about?
We're talking about, well, he's just confirming what I've been saying.
Okay.
China is strong today. We all know why China is strong. All the things, I mean, China is actually threatening the economy of the U.S. If you saw the debates between Obama and what's his name now, they were actually, China was a major issue. Both of them agreed they had to deal with China because they felt China was being unfair in trade. They were engaging in some policies, they were cheating, so to speak, and they've been taken to the World Court and all that, trade court and all that. And just because China produces cheap commodities, now something that the U.S. would sell for maybe $200, you get it for $20 from China. Nigerians now, if there's any country they are going to now, it's China.
It's China, that's true.
Why? Because they can get cheaper things.
Relatively.
Relatively, you get what I'm saying? It's a stronger economy. Foreign reserves, strong. We are depleting our own foreign reserves because all we do is import. And that's the problem here. That's what they should actually address instead of talking about dollar. There is no dollarization. It's not a Nigerian policy. Okay. You can't stop me from keeping my money in dollars if I want to. You can't do that.
Well, as long as you don't go on the streets spending
dollars
you still spend the legal tender, which is a Naira. Yes. Okay, let's look at this part where is it true that the foreign exchange controls were often instituted by countries whose currencies are weak and prefer to hold, very little currencies or use the currencies of other nations? Is this the truth that they are the ones that control the foreign exchange markets? And if this is true, can this be said to be the Nigerian story?
No, you see, it's not the Nigerian story. It's dollarization. You have a weak economy, you have high inflation, then you can't manage your economy alone. You need foreign influx. Yeah. The easiest thing you can do is dollarize, because it means if I have $1 in the US and if I decide to go to Zambia in 1994, it's still going to be $1. That's a very strong incentive. This is what countries have been doing when they're in that kind of a situation. Now the point is Nigeria at that point? Is our economy so bad that we need to quickly attract foreigners and say, now we're going to stop using the Naira, we're going to be using the dollar? That's not the case with Nigeria. The thing is, what is happening in Nigeria is good. It's a global village. Nigerians have gone out in hundreds of thousands. It's only fair that people from other countries come in to develop Nigeria. And if that is the case, then you shouldn't be saying you don't want them to be spending dollars in Nigeria. No, it's not going to work.
Okay.
Our economy is not that strong. We can't do that. Like I said, you try that, people will go off elsewhere.
Okay. So that is to say that the fears of dollarization of the economy and forex regulations should be discouraged for now, should be let to lie for now. Because,
for now, yes.
you know, Nigerians are very agitative. You know, any little dust in the air, they want to take cognizance of it. So that's to tell you that we should really allow the dollar to thrive, and then if it has to be used, then it should be used.
You see, what I would suggest to them is this. Make sure that nobody says either dollar or nothing.
Or nothing.
Give people a choice. If I want to trade in dollars, I pay in dollars. If I want to pay in Naira, I pay in Naira. But if you tell me, this is Nigeria, I can't spend my Naira, then there's a problem. As long as that problem does not exist, the legislators should focus on creating an enabling environment to make business thrive in Nigeria.
So that means they should go back to the drawing boards and really
work on that. This is not something that is so important that they should be getting the country heated upon. Like I said, how many people really trade in dollars? We have maybe 160 million Nigerians. How many? We can't be, people who trade in dollars cannot be up to 2 million. So what is all the talk about?
All right. So tell us just briefly in your last speech, what should be put in place, most importantly, if the lawmakers were to go back to the drawing boards and give the government an advice? I know the advice might have been on the table, but what do you think they should clamor the more for, the needed change like right now for the economy to thrive?
You see, we have privatized. Obasanjo brought in a lot of privatization.
Yes.
Now that is good. But the enabling economy, the enabling environment rather, security is a major issue.
Okay.
Nobody wants to come to a country where they don't feel safe. Then this talk of ban on dollarization when there is none can send negative signals to people that you're dealing with a government that can just change its mind at any time. Nobody wants to play in such a field. You get what I mean? They should focus rather on a level playing field. No matter where you come from, you are safe in Nigeria. You have the electricity. You are not taxed unfairly. There is no corruption. That's what they should be focusing on at this time.
At this time.
Rather than heating up the polity by something that is unnecessary.
And probably distracting people from real issues.
You're right, from real issues. They are distracting.
Now, this is what we get to see always in the economy and, of course, matters in the country. But it's a good thing that we bring it to the fore. And I've been speaking to Mr. Adeniyi Odunsi. He's a legal practitioner and has a huge wealth of wisdom in terms of the economy and fiscal issues. At least you've been able to judge so far on the show. And the show, once again, is Agenda. And we looked at a very, very striking issue, which is the dollarization of the Nigerian economy, or the alleged dollarization of the economy and forex regulations. I hope we've been able to dig into this and, of course, bring out the truth, the facts and the sides in this matter. My name is Philip Haza. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you around.
My pleasure.
We'll join you same time next week with another brilliant edition on the show. It's The Agenda. Send your comments to theagenda@loverplusnews.net. That's how you can be a part of this. And until then, it's bye-bye for now.